Hello nerds and welcome to Into the Wild, your favourite wildlife and conservation podcast where we look at all things, well, wildlife and conservation.
This is a podcast of curiosity where we know we don't have all the answers.
Oh, that's my co-host Nadia, by the way.
Hi. But it doesn't really matter because we're here to learn and crucially listen to those who are affected by and closest to the issues that we as conservationists tend to pick over from our comfy living rooms.
So strap yourselves in, open up your lugholes, grab a brew and join us as we geek out over nature, share our love for wildlife, rarely take ourselves seriously, all whilst learning. Oh, and we sometimes swear. Would you rather have a pet bumblebee that's the size of a dog, but requires feeding on manuka honey, so it's spenny? Do you know what I mean? That's a lot of manuka honey, and that's £10 a pot for a little jar. Talking 300 grams there. So I know that because I live in Highgate.
I know what manuka honey is.
One of the weird privileges of living in Highgate is you know the cost of manuka honey and sorbet.
Come on, there's got to be a or.
Or would you rather a pet garden snail that's the size of a cat that shows you love but requires no financial input?
Such an interesting thought experiment. I'm gonna go snail.
Are you all that slime residue?
I'm going to keep it in refined quarters.
Oh, you're going to have Petter on your hands.
Pet what on my hands?
Petter. Peter? Petter?
Just say RSPCA.
I mean, it's a different organisation.
Same thing, isn't it? God.
Would you go with snail, would you?
I think what sold it for me was the cost of keeping it. And also the snail would give me love and I'm so needy.
Well, the bee would as well. You're talking probably a good
but also
a week.
All the time. Bzzz.
That's a
The
lot
size
of
of a
humming,
dog. If it was the size of a chihuahua.
I didn't say which dog, to be fair. Yeah, you could have picked the dog.
Could have picked a toy breed.
Teacup Yorkie. Yeah.
It's hard now. Now I'm thinking about a little bit the size of a chihuahua.
Yeah. Too late. You went with snail.
How big's my snail against the size of a cat? That's all right. I would paint its shell, funny colours. I would play fetch.
All the reasons you get pets.
What about you?
I'd go with B.
You would regret it and I would laugh.
Yeah, no, I'd regret it. I'd laugh. I wouldn't be able to keep up with the payments on the manuka honey and I'd probably end up, going around collecting nectar.
Again. Like that last time. Thank you for the thought experiment to start our podcast.
That's all right.
But in the real world of wildlife, what have you seen this week?
What have I seen this week? I posted this on my gram. I saw a bee fly.
Oh.
I saw a greater bee fly on Hampstead Heath. Also, shout out to Ash Whiffen for
I was just going to say
Ash Whiffen, everyone's favourite entomologist, Ash Whiffen.
Gold star, top of the pile. Did you know what it was when you saw it, or did you have to be like, what's this? Or do you know it was a bee fly?
I knew it was a bee fly. I didn't. Do you know how many species of bee fly are in the UK?
Ooh, I'm going to hazard a guess.
Go on.
Hazard one.
Yeah,
it's a funny
be
saying,
careful.
isn't it? I'm going to go 38.
Oh, okay. No, it's 10.
Oh.
It's 10.
Okay.
Do you know how many species of fly approximately are in the UK?
4 billion, probably.
That's mental.
No, but it's going to be one of those really high ones, isn't it?
A 7,000.
That's so many.
That's entomologists trying to get
I think there's probably not that many.
They're keeping themselves in a job by finding new species.
I think they just want to name themselves after a fly. Yeah. They found one. They're like, oh, this one's only got 5 legs. They've just pulled one off. It's a new species. I think they're making them up. You know when you try and ID things and it's not possible to ID with a hand lens, you need to dissect it. At that stage I'm like, you are lying.
There's no point. What a gnat is a gnat is a gnat.
Oh, and the gnats are like
yeah, sorry gnats.
I've never thought about gnats until you've just said gnats. It's the first time I've just built new brain synapses to process what you said.
There was once, I'm just going to really quickly tell this beautiful story. I was at the Royal Entomological Society event. I can't even remember what the point of the event was. Sorry, RES. But I was there about 3 years ago with Adam Hart. And then I was stood with Adam Hart and Erica McAllister, a wonderful entomologist and science communicator. And they both, I literally jumped with glee as they saw a brand new book titled The World of Fungus Gnats.
Oh, God, not even the world of fungus, full stop.
No, fungus gnats. No, he's so niche. I love them.
So niche.
So I saw a bee fly. That was lovely. One of my favourite insects. I just think they're so cute. They're beautiful.
They are really
so it's really nice.
cute. And they haven't got a sting in the tail.
And they haven't, no. And what was your highlight?
I went river dipping with Lucy Hodson, and we found the most extraordinary stonefly nymph. It was about the size of that, like I would say like an inch long, and it looks like a miniature black and yellow lobster. It's such a cool animal, and it was like snaking under and around all the rocks in the river, and probably going to pupate in the next month or so and emerge as a stonefly.
Say puke.
It's probably going to puke.
Probably going to puke
at the sight of us. And it was just a really cool animal, and I'm going to send it to you, Ryan, and hopefully you can put it on Instagram.
The picture, not the actual larvae.
Yeah, no, definitely just the picture of it. And can Instagram do that now?
Yeah, AI.
And do you know, if you told AI to make up an insect, it couldn't make one cooler than this. That's what's amazing about nature sometimes.
Well, there's a challenge.
No, don't.
But we're not going to do it because AI is bad for the planet.
It is so bad for the planet because it uses. We've discussed this. It uses lots and lots of carbon. So that's my cool. So we've gone very nerdy and insecty this week. Not a bird in sight.
Oh my God, we're not partnered with the RES anymore, and now we're talking about insects.
I know. They've gone, and we've just come alive. Maybe we were just pupating.
We were just waiting. It takes us.
But also, just as a quick side narrative, first swallow as well. I've got to mention first swallow and first cuckoo since I last saw you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Cuckoo. Oh, that was a bad one. Can I do one more?
One more.
Better.
Yeah. Was that the swallow?
He pretends he does not like the bird. Okay.
How many news stories have you got, by the way?
I've actually got 3, and I think I'll probably talk about one.
We've spoken too long for us to have 5 stories.
I know. Okay, it's fine. I'll do one because I'll pick my favourite, and it's not clickbait this week.
Well, I'll be the judge. Do you want to go first then with your non-clickbait, definitely clickbait story?
This is a story that I just found interesting socially, and it just really piqued my interest, and I think I wanted to talk to you about it to figure out how I felt about it. Okay. So this is a story that was in The Guardian. Let me just pull it up. Which is that, and it doesn't really surprise me, but it did make me think that the silent majority of the world's population wants stronger climate action. So this, based on various different social studies and interviews and what have you, around about 89% of the public want their governments to do more to tackle the climate crisis, but they don't know. This is the crucial thing that piqued my interest. They don't know they're part of the majority. So the Guardian article reads, a superpower in the fight against global heating is hiding in plain sight. It turns out that the overwhelming majority of people in the world, between 80 and 89%, according to a growing number of peer-reviewed studies, want their governments to take stronger climate action. It's cited here as well that actually countries, in poorer countries, where roughly 4 out of 5 of the world's inhabitants live, I don't know how they come up with that statistic, it's a higher proportion of people want climate action compared to kind of wealthier countries such as ourselves, where only 2/3 of people want climate action, but it evens itself out to this overall higher figure. And it's just, I think, fascinating that this idea that humans united is a really strong, as a really powerful thing, like in terms of like when we turn what we want into act, when we understand how to act in a coordinated fashion, we can make change happen really quickly.
Yeah, when you revolt. Yeah.
But we don't.
Because we're British.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
And it's 89% of the world's population are like, no, we need to do something stronger. Hey,
let's be real. It's nearly everyone. It's nearly everyone. It's not far off everyone in the main population. Like,
but that 11% is going to be the population of people from the world's richest countries.
Yeah.
in the majority who do the most carbony stuff. Carbony,
Yeah.
that's the technical term. But
The
I just
carbony
think it's
stuff, yeah.
like...
It is amazing that people aren't talking, I think. Like, you've got all those people, and like you said, they're not aware they're in the majority.
That's the thing, like...
Yeah.
There was an organisation, I can't remember what they're called now, so, something international, where they were set up around this principle of like, if we just focus on one thing at a time, in terms of like the action, whether it's boycott, whether it's a whatever, and get everyone in the world to focus on that one issue, sort it, move on to the next one. And I think like one of the things that they wanted to tackle was Amazon as a company, and in terms of higher welfare for their staff, because there was huge things at the time about like abuse. I'm not really sure where it went now, but I mean, such is the world, it's hard to constantly fight and battle these things. But I just think that's just, of course, 89% of the world want.
Well, I think you can even look at things like river pollution in the UK. Like, I think you'd be hard come by to find anyone in England that wants shit put in rivers.
If you did the survey like that, hey,
but that's the thing, isn't it? Like, so I think, like, for example, if you look at like people that use Thames Water and they keep doing it, like, in reality, if none of us paid our bill until that was sorted, get sorted, wouldn't it?
It would.
It would get sorted.
Yeah.
It would. Because you can't turn someone's water off. It's illegal in the UK. So you'd be all right.
Yeah, we couldn't let people die of thirst.
It's against the law. You can't do it. We've just come up with an idea.
I know. It's so frustrating, isn't it? Because it's like,
mad. It is mad.
You know what? There's this. There's like these reality TV shows. I watched one once a while ago. I've stopped watching them now. I'm reformed. But where it's like there's like £1 million, and if everyone in the group who they've just met each other agrees to share it, they share it. But if one person's like, "Nah, I'm going to take it all," they get to take it all, and it's just like this kind of like if everyone. But then if more than one person says they're going to take it all, then no one gets anything, and it's just like if everyone just worked together.
Yeah, you'd take it all, wouldn't you?
No, I would be a share. You would take it all.
I 100% would take that all. Are you kidding me? I'm working class. You know, brush £1 million in front of my face. What? How many people had to share it?
I can't remember what. There was maybe like 10 of them, so you still get 100 grand. But the thing is, if somebody else said they'd take it all, it meant that like you got kicked out or something. So it's just, or like nobody got it. Oh, that's it. In every round, the money reduced if there wasn't like if there wasn't a unified agreement.
Unanimous. Okay.
And so it's just like, but everyone before it was like, okay, we're all in agreement, we're going to share it, and then they don't. And so it's just, I don't know, it's hard to get us all.
Aren't humans fascinating?
They just are, aren't they?
Hello nerds, sorry to interrupt the show. I've just got a wee favour to ask. We always want Into the Wild to be a free and accessible show, but it does cost to run this thing. So if you're sat there thinking, damn, I love this podcast, and you want to help us out, then head over to coffee.com/intothewildpod, where you can make a one-off donation or set up a monthly support. Anything you give really helps and goes straight back into the running of the show. The link is in the write-up of this episode. Anyway, I'll shut up now. Back onto nature news. Okay, right. I'm going to jump onto my bit.
Okay. Segue into it smoothly.
OAP oyster catchers mean anything to you?
Just like pivot from that story to this one. There's no way you could have.
There was no segue to get from what you were talking about to OAP oyster catchers. Out of interest, do you know the average lifespan of an oyster catcher in the wild?
Oh, well, it's a wader, and waders are fairly long-lived in the bird world.
Go on. By all means, think
28
about it.
years.
So they can reach 20 and 30s, but the average is 12 years.
Oh, is it?
In the wild. Yeah. But it's not uncommon at all for them to get into their 20s and 30s.
I went high. What is...
No, but I would say a lot of people would say you are correct there.
Yeah.
And say they do. But the average is 12 years in the wild.
And that's because of environmental factors, I guess.
I would imagine so. And also predation. I'm assuming something eats them. So basically, investigations of some data found in a place called The Wash has found that two were aged one was 41 years old and the other one was 43.
What?
So the 41-year-old, after looking at the data on the ring, was last caught in 1983. presumably at the same site, older than me and you.
Older than me. Thank for that. So it's older
I know,
than
God,
me
that
and
would have
you.
been depressing, wouldn't it? The oldest oyster catcher, and I'm still older. And then the other one was they think around about 3 years old when it was ringed in 1982. It could be as old as 46, but they're going with 43 because they're not too sure.
Love that for them. Do they look it? Do they look older?
Yeah, I think they land and they got a little stick.
They go, oh.
Oh, every time they get up, yeah. Jim Scott from the RSPB estate, he's the operations manager for the Titchwell Marsh. He said that the Wash is the single most important coastal wetland in the UK for migrating and overwintering wading birds, ducks, geese, supporting up to 400,000 water birds each year. Up to 26,000 of these are oyster catchers, making the Wash a site of international importance for this species, as it is for many others. But it's amazing to see. I mean, I know you and I, we in the past, especially yourself as an ornithologist, has shared concerns, rightfully in my opinion, of bird ringing. But news like this, I think, is quite cool sometimes as well.
I think
to learn
that's
from
really cool.
Old data. Do you know what, coming in to say like, look, this, we've got 2 OAP oyster catchers coming in, which is quite nice. So I thought a nice little fun story.
Oh, that makes me really happy. I think the East Coast in general over that way is so important for birds.
Exactly. Well, it also shows that point, really, I think, that, individuals have got to that age, which kind of, underlines that point that it's an important site.
Really, really, really important species. And it's one of the reasons why our large waders that live a long time, when their numbers crash, it's not immediately obvious. So curlews are a really good example. Whilst I still see a lot of curlews here on the Isle of Bute in the winter, flocks of 30, 40. But they might not have successfully bred for 30 years, for example.
Yeah,
this is
right,
why
good point.
It's like long-lived birds, the crash in their population, the decline cannot not be immediately apparent.
Yeah, it takes a long time to see that. That's such a good point. Yeah, I didn't think
because they're ground nesting. So dogs literally could be standing on their eggs every single year, but you're like, oh look, we're still seeing the adults. It's like, yeah, I know, but no one's breeding.
And that's where the education in that comes in, doesn't it?
It's a bit like millennials. They're just not breeding, and it's just such a problem.
All right, Christian.
Who's going to look after me when I'm old?
It's nice to have Trump on the podcast.
But yeah. No, oh, I love them. Have they got names?
It's nice. No.
That's shocking.
Shocking, isn't it? Well, I didn't read anything about names. We could name them. What's 2 old names?
Okay, we're going to call them Beatrice.
Bernadette and Beatrice?
Bernadette and Beatrice. The Into the Wild oyster catchers now. We're going to track them.
I love the way we went with not only old, but Catholic names.
Yeah.
Like they're 2 nuns.
They are like little nuns with like carrots on their faces.
Oh, right. Okay. I wonder where the hell you were going. Do you want to share another story?
Well, I might as well.
You go. I've got one more after you.
This was just something that surprised me. There's a...
God.
Oh, God. And maybe it is clickbait.
Could be anything.
It's just a story that...
Did you just say maybe this is clickbait?
No.
Okay, here we go. Cracks are already forming.
It's because I like cute animals. So this is just a story that I didn't realise that we would be part of a breeding programme for lynx and their reintroduction and rewilding. But
when you say we would be part of a breeding programme,
well,
what do you mean?
There is a place in Cornwall, Newquay Zoo has a 9-month-old Carpathian lynx that's been born. Ooh. It is the most gorgeous, adorable little sugar muffin. It's worth just looking at it.
Once again, you're here for science.
The scientific sugar muffin. It's the first UK-bred lynx to join this initiative, and it will be entering quarantine next week before going to Germany, where it will enter, I guess, like a wider semi-natural environment where it can learn hunting before it's then introduced into the wild. So nice to know that we are breeding lynx, or we're part of a programme, even though they won't be released here, but at least we are learning.
We're doing something.
We're learning those skills and we're contributing. Well, you know what? If the lynx population's doing well somewhere. But it's just a really cute... I actually saw the picture of the lynx.
It's the most blasé you've ever been about lynx. Well, as long as it's doing well.
Well, it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's just like, actually, if they're thriving somewhere, they're not extinct, so I feel like I can breathe easily a little bit just because we haven't got them. And whilst, we acknowledge that actually having apex predators is really useful for ecosystem kind of design. But I basically clicked on it because I saw a picture of a cute little lynx face.
Right, so now I see where you're at with
Obviously,
this kind of
we've reported on links a few times, particularly with the the release of those links up in the Cairngorms, and which I've not seen anything from. So I'm acutely.
Oh, actually, yeah, we should check in on that.
Well, and that's why I clicked this link. Had nothing to do with it, but I was just like, maybe I'll do a little bit more research on what's going on there. For our next podcast. But
nice.
That's me. Links.
Okie doke. Well, from links onto something called a white-faced darter. There is a T in that, by the way. Ever heard of that?
You don't know what. You wouldn't know a T if it hit you in the face.
Not unless it's brewed for 2 minutes with sugar and milk. White-faced darter mean anything?
Dragonfly.
Well done.
Thank you.
Actually impressed.
Oh, really?
Actually impressed. Well, yeah, I mean, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know, and I'm a white man.
With a white face. We have something in common.
So why would the mixed race woman on the podcast know?
Come on, what about them? Please tell me it's learn how to ride a bike.
Just, sorry, for nerds listening, absolutely a joke. It's a rare dragonfly, and it's being introduced to the South Solway mosses in Cumbria to ease their decline.
Oh.
So they thrive in bogs. Someone needs to, I guess. Breeding in... Not my habitat, but something's got to have fun. Breeding in acidic pools containing sphagnum moss and roost and feed in the woodlands in the surrounding area. So it's no surprise that these kind of habitats, what I've just said of, acidic pools, bogs and woodlands, the habitat is declining.
Oh, yeah.
Which is why they're struggling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no surprise there.
We shit on bogs. Not in the good way.
That's another T-shirt. So habitat is disappearing, but this seems to be a stronghold, a potential for the species.
So why have they declined there, do they say?
So they haven't declined there necessarily. It's just this is a site where they could thrive, but they aren't there currently. So what they're doing is introducing them to this site, which is the right kind of temperatures. Climate crisis is also having an impact on the species and the area. Obviously, pools, wetlands drying up and things like this. So introducing them to this area, which is ideal for the species, could ease their decline within the UK. So they're using it as a hotspot. Eleanor Culver from the British Dragonfly Society said the white-faced darter is one of our rarest dragonflies, and the BDS is committed to stabilising the British population. Unfortunately, due to habitat loss and climate change, the species cannot be reintroduced to its more southerly historic breeding sites in England. However, the cooler climate of the Solway coast and the healthy peat bog of Campfield Marsh provide the perfect conditions for this species to thrive. So it's kind of, with our interference, moving the species up north. So sorry, Northerners, more Southerners coming your way. But it's kind of using that kind of habitat to re-establish a population, I guess. But I thought it was an interesting story because it's good news. But you and I talk quite a lot about reintroducing species and stuff, and with things like the climate crisis and habitat loss not really getting better. Although obviously this site is well managed and restoring these areas is happening, but the climate crisis is, on a certain path. We do often talk about, is there a need to reintroduce as much and rather than tackle the bigger issues? So I thought it was an interesting story to bring up. Feels
like less stressful when it's a small thing.
That makes sense.
Like it's not a big... they've presumably got a little box like this.
Oh yeah, it definitely feels like less to carry. Yeah.
I think it's really difficult because we're living in this new world where we're having to think about how climate is affecting our ecosystems and looking at, say, for example, Cumbria compared to Southampton and go, right, in 20 years, Cumbria might have the climate of Southampton.
Exactly, yeah.
And future... I think I applaud that long-term vision and future thinking because we don't do enough long-term thinking, just in general, as a culture.
But you also kind of think, where do you draw the line? Because if the climate crisis continues in the way it is now, and Cumbria does start to have the climate of the south, and those pools get harder to restore, the peat bogs get harder to restore and dry up, how far north do we take the white-faced darter until we go
Shetland?
Welcome to Iceland.
The end of the world. Oh,
So,
it's
yeah,
so
it's
sad. It's almost like we should just stop climate change in the first place and not have to do all this work.
You pipe dreamer.
Hey, I'm one of the 89%.
I'm part of the 11. No, I'm joking.
What did you say?
I'm part of the 11.
I knew it.
Sometimes it's just funny to joke and be on the other side.
Ryan secretly off when we're not recording is just like, I just love this climate change. It's lovely hot summers.
I'm going
to have to go on all
to
day
go back to
anymore.
work for Shell. Go back on the rig. I assume that's what.
Do a great pension.
Yeah. Okay, so that was some nice stories.
I feel like that wasn't as doom and gloom as usual.
That's a great review of our own podcast there.
I know, 5 stars. Wasn't completely depressing.
Didn't make me cry today.
Again.
Thanks, nerds, for tuning in to Nature News. Don't forget to go back to Into the Wild, Journey Back to Namibia, episode 1, 2, or 3, if you've not listened to any of them or some of them, because episode 4 is coming out in a couple of weeks. This one is going to be about community living, and how climate crisis impacts that kind of community support. So look out for that. Make sure you're subscribed and ready. If you're not following us on social media, please do so. Blue Sky, Instagram. We're present on Twitter, but we're just sharing episodes. We're not really engaging and keeping up any conversation on there because of Elon Musk. If you've got any spare cash and you want to throw it towards your favourite nature and wildlife podcast, you can do at coffee.com/Into the Wild pod. The link is in the write-up of this episode, as are all the links to the stories that Nadia and I have shared today. And whatever platform you're listening on, please give us a review. We'd love that. And if you can't give a review, but you want to shout about us on social media, you can. Or you can give us a DM and say hello. We would love to have that chat. But until next time, look after yourself. Enjoy the spring sun that's shining here in London today. And we'll see you next week.